Good to see Jacob deGrom. Be even better to see him actually on the mound. Hopefully that happens for him soon. All right, Hannah, when all's said and done, should deGrom's number be retired by the Mets?
I certainly think so. I mean, I think we're hoping to see him have more of a career, so maybe he'll somehow top what he did with the Mets. But right now, he is their all-time franchise leader in ERA. He's third in WAR behind Gooden and Seaver. I thought this was really surprising. He's actually 8th in innings pitched for the Mets. So even though he was hurt a lot, there were a lot of games in there.
That stat surprises me.
Are you surprised? Are you pleasantly surprised?
I'm neutral on all these things. I'm a hard no on retiring his number.
Why?
It just wasn't here long enough. They didn't win when he was here. I know they were in the World Series one year. I know he won a couple of Cy Youngs with low win totals, which wasn't all his fault. He got a great contract.
Win totals?
Yeah, win totals.
That's what you're citing?
It's just I'm not feeling it. It's a vibe thing. It's not. He didn't. If he'd stayed and achieved more, sure. But it's just, to me, it just doesn't quite rise to that special level.
I'm with Hannah. I think he does get his jersey retired. And like you said, I think he does have more good years in him. But when you think of deGrom with the Mets, it's greatness, right? When he was healthy, he was one of the best in all of baseball. And I like the WAR stat. He's up there with some of the best of all time in Mets history. And since his debut in 2014, he's, I think, third in pitcher WAR in all of baseball. So as much as he has been injured, and they haven't won a championship with him, or they didn't, I think he was one of the best ever to do it in a Mets uniform.
Yeah, you can't dispute that he's one of the greatest pitchers of all time for the franchise. However, I'm with Andy. Retiring his number?
It just doesn't feel right, does it?
No, it does not. It does not feel like the reason why a lot of these numbers have been retired here. They won a World Series for the 1986 Mets. If they didn't, Doc and Darryl would not have their numbers up there. Probably Keith would not have his number up there either. Piazza, Seaver, those are the all-time greatest players that have it. I know they've retired Kuzman since.
What about
also
the fact that he chose to leave? Not to interrupt you, but that impacts it too, doesn't it?
Well, longevity with the team would mean something. David Wright's going to be the next Met to have his number retired.
Right.
Was he on the level of deGrom's greatness? No. But he was an all-time great Met, a career-long Met, homegrown, and he was a good player. So had deGrom stayed with the Mets, even if he were hurt, I think it'd be a different story. The fact that he left to go elsewhere, for whatever the reasons may be, and he was as dominant a pitcher as I've ever seen in my life. I didn't watch Seaver with the Mets, certainly, so deGrom is the greatest Mets pitcher that I've ever seen. Gooden, too, but deGrom was even better at his peak more consistently. I still don't think he deserves to have his number retired.
I think the narrative around him being about the time that he missed isn't unfair way to judge. Like, we certainly shouldn't be judging players, I don't think, for the time they're not on the field. I understand if he doesn't accumulate enough counting stats to be in the Hall of Fame someday, but I think when you're thinking about his Mets career, you should think about the time he was playing for the Mets, not the time he wasn't playing for the Mets.
Well, there's a lot of time when he wasn't playing for the Mets, including when he chose to sign elsewhere, which you don't normally get from people who you enshrine in your retired numbers, your Hall of Fame, or what have you.
When I think of retired numbers, I think of all-time greats in that uniform, and I think that he fits that description.
Yeah, I mean, no question, he's one of the great pitchers to ever put on a Met uniform. I'm torn on it. I don't think he deserves to have his number retired.